So now that we know what a UV is, let's see it in action in our scene here. So I'm going to go ahead and select my crate 1, which is hiding in here. And then rather than move it out, we're going to isolate its selection so we can just see it. We can do that in a couple of different ways. There's this show isolate selected, view selected. Or you could just click this little arrow with the dotted blue box there, and that will isolate it. So all we really see is it. I can hit F and getting here close to it. So let's go ahead and create a material and apply to this just so we can see what it looks like. Let's say we're going to use the AI standard surface again. And now that seems to be my go-to. Get the file out of there. AI standard surface. And I'm going to call this student service there. We're going to call this one the crate mat. And then I am going to apply crate mat to this crate. Assign material. There we go. And just like as a quick example, let's download a wood texture to put on this, right? So wood. I'm just going to try some plywood. Oak veneer is nice. Plywood. There we go. Again, look at my maps. That looks good. Download that. Save. And in my source images folder, I want to extract all. And I'm going to go ahead and delete that. So now my plywood is there. And I'm just going to map in the diffuse just so you can see it really quickly. Where is it? Create material, grass, dark. And on that color, I'm going to map in a file of the plywood diffuse texture. And I'm going to close this for now. And we'll see it's on there, but we'll see there's a lot of stuff that's actually really kind of messed up on it. Like at first stroke, oh, that's not bad. Except for we see like some weird stretching happening here as we get to the edges, and then we get to the side of it. That doesn't make sense at all, right? A couple of other things that are kind of interesting is that the wood grain is going crosswise here, not longwise. And in fact, it does it kind of across the board. Here it's up and down, but here it's also still up and down instead of longways. That's just not how lumber really works, right? So let's look at our UVs for this object. And right now, it will make sense because if I go to UV editor, why it's doing that is because the UVs are very simple. That's not what I wanted to do. There we go. The UVs are very, very simply laid out. Like they're not really laid out to give the best result of the texture. They're just laid out. It was probably automatically how this worked out while it was being modeled. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to sort of break this out into all of its pieces. So under UVs, there's all of these options of how we can unwrap this, right? Automatic is what we're going to use, but I just want to show you some of the different options. So if I did like cylindrical mapping, it's basically going to put a cylinder around my object, and it's going to unwrap it as if it were like the shape of a soup can or something like that, right? And although that will give me UVs, they're not UVs that are very good, and it does not apply the material to the object the way we need it to, right? So to get the best results for UV unwrapping, we want to be thinking about like, how would I unfold this? How would I unfold this if this were a Christmas present. So I am going to first, just to make sure I get the best result, I'm going to go Edit, Delete by Type, History, and Modify Phrase Transformations. And that's going to make sure that it is in sort of its native form. And then I'm going to go to UV Automatic.
Good.
And it's going to sort of blow this entire thing apart. So now that it's blown apart, what I'm actually going to do is start putting some of it back together. So you'll see that if I choose Edge in here, actually let's click one more button to make this a little clearer. If I click here, you'll be able to see what is actually a UV shell, right, and what is not. And so you'll see here if I mouse over this edge and click it, that is this edge here, right? But you'll also see that another edge lit up over here. And that's the edge that it connects to, right? Because that's this face, and this is this face, and this is the little section that connects it, right? So I can actually start stitching some of these back together a little bit to get more uniform pieces. So I click that edge, it's going to select the edge that aligns with it. And then if I go to Cut and Sew and hit Stitch Together, it's going to pull that over here and connect it. So I can kind of do this and start stitching this entire thing back together into the shapes that I need, right? Choose my UV shell here, move this up. And so if I want that now, like that wood is flowing through there, if I want that to all flow horizontally with the wood grain, I can use Transform and rotate that 45 degrees. So just type in 45 there, make sure it's right, and rotate that. And now my wood grain is flowing through that wood a little better, right? You can see that that looks more like the way the wood would flow across that. And so I can continue to go around and do that with the pieces that I need to do that with. I don't really need these to do that, so I'm just going to kind of move these over here. But I would like this to be just my preference. I would prefer that wood grain going up and down on that. Now we're going to see lots of these little bitty pieces that maybe they're just little corners of stuff. They may be important, but they may not really play that much into it. What I would like to do is have these edges here reattached. But again, I want my wood all flowing in the right direction. Right now the top piece is, but the side piece is not. So if I cut that and do that here as well, cut. I should be able to right click in here and choose UV shell. I didn't cut it all the way through, did it? Edge. I did cut that one. UV shell. Looks like it's another one up here at the top too. So I'll have to go back in here. Yeah, I didn't cut. Let's say there. And so now I can UV shell and choose that piece separately and rotate it. There we go. Probably do the same with this one down here. Move it up here. And so now all those are flowing in the right direction. And what I'd like to do is get the pieces that are connected to it connected back to it. So if I click Stitch Together, it's pulling some of that back over. Let's see. Is that another one that goes to that? Okay, there we go. What was that one? I don't know. I need that one. I'll do the same up here at the top. Stitch together. Stitch together. There we go. So now that's starting to become more of a shell like I would want it to be. Sticks together. Nice. Here we go. And so this makes a lot more sense now of what is happening here. Now, what these little pieces here are, we can figure that out, but I don't think that they're, oh, they're those little bitty edges right through there. So I really just want to make sure they're rotated. Oh, goodness. That's not what I wanted to do. I was going to go UV shells. There we go with that. Make sure they're rotated in the right way. And so now I have all of this here, but it's not necessarily the best layout for it. So if I grab all of my UV shells and I click layout, it's going to organize them in a way that lines up a little bit better, right? It also scaled them to where they're using as much of the texture space as possible, right? So this is really handy now to be able to see how this texture is laid out in here. And why this is important is because I can now alter that texture. I can see how this material applies to this texture, but I can also use this to generate or make my own textures for this, right? So let's try that really quick. I am going to select my object. I'm going to go to Image, UV Snapshot, and I'm going to export out a PNG of this snapshot. And what it's going to show me is where all the UVs are at, right? So I'm going to save this. Right now it's putting it in Rocket Images Out UV. Again, it knows to put it there because I've set my project. That's good for me. I am going to, let's try that and see what we get. Apply and close. And that created this file in Images, Out UV. And what it shows you is where your UVs are at, like how they're arranged, right? Now, if you have Photoshop or something like that, we can now take these into those programs and adjust them, right? So I'll show you this using Photo P, which is a sort of a free Photoshop like program on the internet. We'll say start using Photo P. It's free. It's in a browser. And what that means I can do is I can drag in my out UVs and my textures. So let's look at my plywood texture here, and I'll drag it in first. So I'll put that in there. There we go. And then I'm also going to see if I can just drag my out UVs into here. I can, but it didn't apply it right. Let's scale that up. Make sure we get it to the right corners. Right. And so what that should show us now is how our UVs are laying on top of that. It's kind of hard to see, so let me see if I can select pixels, image, adjustments, levels. Should just be able to adjust the levels. Making it all white would be better. There we go. Yeah, so you can see them a little bit better there. And then I can actually duplicate that layer a few times. And then, I should probably rasterize it too. Rasterize that layer. Rasterize. I'm just making it darker so we can see it. And I think I can merge that down. Is Control E working here? It does. Control E will merge that down. And so now I can kind of see the layouts of it. Now, the reason I did that is if I wanted to put labels on here, right? Let's say I just wanted to put the word fragile across here, right? I can now go in here and Will I create a new text layer? Yeah. So it's in there. It's tiny, but let's make it bigger. Make that font way bigger. Let's try making it more like 200. There we go. And we're going to choose a different font. I don't want to spend forever picking out a font, but I do want a good one. There we go. And then I can transform. That was the free transforms. Let's see if it. I can rotate it a little bit, and then I'm going to hold down Alt, I think, and duplicate it. Rotate it a little bit this way. Right. And here's the important part. I want to turn off my UVs, and then I'm going to save this as a new color map. So I'm going to save this as File, Export as PNG, and just save more as well. Export as PNG. And I'm going to save this as diffuse fragile. Save. I'm going to go ahead and put that in my plywood texture here. Save. And so in Maya now, if I go back to that material we just made, actually I'm going to delete my history. I want to show you this, where we made all of those changes. This is all of the history that object is trying to remember now. Let's just do edit, delete by type history. So that's gone. And then in my attribute editor, you'll see crate mapped into that old diffuse texture. I'm going to put it to my new diffuse fragile. And what you'll see is fragile now appears on the box. Now, the reason it's funny, I probably should have rotated the UVs, but you get the idea. The reason I made this like this, actually, I may keep it sideways like that because I think that's funny. This is not a crate, right? This is just one side of a crate. Now we're going to just quickly create a crate. So if I hit Control D and then hold down J while I rotate, it will snap it to 90 or 45 degree increment, 15 degree increments. And then I can go over here and sort of try to place this a little bit more like this. Yeah, looks pretty good. And then I'm just going to do the same thing again on both of these. Take that around. I want to get it close, but it's not terribly important. Control D. I'm probably never going to see it down inside of mine, so I'm not going to worry about putting a bottom in it. Actually, that's not the right way of doing that. Let's do Control D here. It's this one, because then I know it's perfectly aligned, and I can just slide it here. And then one last one, I want to do Control D. And show you to rotate it 9 degrees. And I want to make this look sort of like a lopsided, like it's askew, right? Now, in my outliner, I have my crate and all of these 5 pieces. What I'm going to do is hit Control G to put it in a group. And so now I can move that entire group, and I'll call this crate GRP for group. And I can now use that group control to place it. Why is it missing a piece? A piece didn't go into the group. Middle click crate 1 and drag and drop it on crate group. And so now it's in there as well. And so now it should go with it. And when I go back to my scene, I can now place this in our scene a little bit more accurately for whatever it is we're wanting to show. So let's do something like this for right now. And of course, I still need to apply those other materials to this, but hopefully, or the other textures for the normal map and the all of that stuff. But now when we render this, hopefully getting something that you're, the scene is starting to come together. There we go. Yeah, so I'll continue to work on those materials and we'll move on from there.